Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to Mitzvah Hashem change our lives. Learning Kut Sichos, Chalak Aleph, Parshas Vayeira. This year is sponsored by Levi and Sarah Leva, the little Nishmat Sarah Bas Yitzchak on her 30th year at sites. And Hashem should have an aliyah, and through all the learning, you should transform everything, and then Hashem should have the ultimate aliyah. Parshas Vayeira. Okay. So yesterday we were discussing the famous story of the Rashab with when he was a little kid, asking his Talmid Tzedek when he came for his birthday, crying, why didn't Hashem reveal himself? Why didn't he get the revelation of Hashem just like Avraham did? And the answer the Talmid Tzedek gave was when a Yid, or some version is a Tzaddik, at 99 years old, realizes he needs to have a bris, so he deserves Hashem reveals not to him. And this calmed the boy. So there's a lot of things to learn from this. And this is like every story that we hear, we're meant to learn from this. And this is a good example of it. So first of all, we say, what does it mean a child? Child doesn't mean necessarily just the age on the passport, but it means the spiritual age. A person can be even on a very, very young level spiritually, and nevertheless, they can still demand and ask themselves, I want to have that revelation of godliness, just like Avraham did. And this is what we're saying. This is the first lesson we're learning after this. And we're going to continue on this lesson a little bit, and we'll go to the next lesson. But Yisar never says even more than this. Not just the kid that we can all ask and want to have that revelation. Not just we want a revelation of godliness like Avraham did, which is why he was crying, but it's a revelation of godliness like Avraham after 99 years of work. After Avraham fulfilled the mitzvah of Noah. Vayeira, Hashem repeated himself, like he appeared to Avraham. This is what we're talking about after the bris. So the Rebbe is saying he's strengthening this idea that not just we want to have a relation of godliness, but we want to have a revelation of godliness synonymous with the same revelation that Avraham had after all the years of his work and after he had a bris, which is like ultimate, he reached the ultimate pinnacle at that point. And we, irrelevant of our standing spiritually, our age, we can have this demand. And we should. This is a healthy thing. However, because he also had a revelation of godliness before Hashem revealed himself to him before the milah. But you can't compare it to after he had the bris milah. It was on a much greater level. And it says in different places. So the Rebbe is stressing this point that the revelation that Avraham Avinu had was a very great revelation, and this is what we can demand. This is what we can ask. We can cry. We should be able to cry about this. I want to have that revelation. I want to connect with godliness. Like we said yesterday, when we learn something, Yiddishkeit should be with that fire, and that passion, that emotion. At the time that he had the revelation of godliness after the bris milah, so Avraham is called Avraham with an additional hey. That's when he gets the added name. What does this teach us? The Gemara explains Avraham had control of his 5 senses, 5 limbs. Einayim, the eyes, Aznaim, the ears, the Reish, Hagvia, and the head of his I don't know how to say it. And his aver, his limb. That by nature, naturally, we don't have full control over that. It's very hard for us to control what we hear, control what we see. Just automatically you see things and you hear things. It's very hard to control that. But Avraham had that control. After that was that additional hey, the Gemara says that additional hey that he got to his name he got to that level, he had full control. Before that, it was called Avraham without the hey. And early the things that by nature you have control over, he was able to control. But he asked because Atzmi, Nisna Loy Milamai Gam Yanim Shadim Kishal Atzmi, and Yachil Hagir, Alem Hayl Shot Af Al Mash Beteva Ein of Shosh him. So Avraham Avinu, after the bris milah, and this is strengthening the point that after the bris milah, he got this additional head, he had full control of himself, of his senses, and we're going to explain the story later about it. That he didn't, like, he wouldn't hear what he shouldn't hear, he wouldn't see what he shouldn't see. His whole body had been transformed. And this was because of all the avodah that he did. And this is sort of the matana, the present he got for all that effort that he put in his whole life. And this is what we're saying there, is trying to stress. And when we say that we want to have a revelation and we should want it, we're talking about this level of Avraham Avinu with the hay, with that full control. That is a gift from above. We can't by ourselves naturally do this. So moving Avraham Avinu, so we can see here the revelation of godliness that Avraham had after the bris was a way higher revelation than it was before the bris. The imzeh, and with this, Rashai Kol Yisrael, Kol Ben Yisrael, every single Jew is allowed. We are allowed. They're saying we have permission. Even to a person that didn't reach the age of education. Of a move on aruchni in the spiritual sense, like we said yesterday, not the age on the passport. Lidrash b'teikef to ask, request with a strength, with a fire, with a passion we really want. Shakadosh Baruch is Galei Allah, Hashem should reveal himself to us. Hashem she's Galei Avraham Avinu after Avraham have the milah. So that's the first point, and the Rebbe stressed it out how much we can do this. And now we're gonna explain the answer to Tzemach Tzedek, because remember the question was from the Rebbe Shabi, I want to have that revelation of godliness. Why don't I get it? And I'm crying. He was crying because of it. And Tzemach Tzedek said to him, he answered him, and this calmed him. He said, when a yid or a tzaddik at age 99 decides to have a bris milah, he deserves to get such a revelation of godliness. So what does that mean? So what does that mean? What's the answer? Because the answer calmed him. So let's see. Mitzvasa shel Tzemach Tzedek she's galus Avraham Haysom mishum shehevin shalav limulas atzmai after the moed av she'al av avodah shekol Yehudi rasha l'shev notice my Hakadosh Baruch Hu he's got a love to resh l'shem kach hagdama musyamas he hayidia shalav limulas atzmai. So the other thing we learn from the story is that from the answer of Tzemach Tzedek, he's saying in order to have that request and to have it real, we have to also realize our ishtadlus. We can't say, I want Hashem to reveal himself to me, and I don't want to do anything. I'm not going to do anything for it. He just should reveal himself. What do I have to do? Nothing. I can be the same person I was yesterday. I can do nothing. I cannot connect. I cannot determine mitzvahs. I should have the revelation. So he's saying it doesn't work that way. And that's what the Tzemach Tzedek was answering him. He said, listen, why does he deserve, why did Adam get such a revelation of godliness? Because look at the avodah that he did. And the Rabbi Hashab, it seems like what he's saying is he told the Rabbi Hashab, yeah, listen, if you put in the effort, you can also have that demand and you can also see your revelation of godliness, but it doesn't come from nowhere. We have to be a clue, we have to make ourselves a vessel for it. And this we're going to explain. Kalema, meaning, even though the miles of a person, we have all these special things about us, or minimally, in potential we have, so we all have the ability to reach high levels, but this is without avodah. As we're explaining, as we've taught before, everyone is obligated to say, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Arei Minias Avram Yachad im Yitzchak Yaakov mishameshes haychacham nesefesh meduber b'daga Avram shachamila. V'ava b'chei nechayv alav ladash alav limelas atzmei. So we all are obligated to say that when my actions are going to reach the actions of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, we all have this obligation. Meaning we have the potential, and we have to, and this is one of the things that we talk about. People like. When you don't understand Chassidus, or you don't learn it properly, you think it's all like putting us down or nobody. But we see here, we're saying we have to realize that we have potential to be like our forefathers. And they're saying not just Avraham Avinu without the hay, the Avraham Avinu before the Milah, but Avraham Avinu obviously saying the Avraham Avinu after the Milah, which is a very, very high level. And we have to say to ourselves, when am I actually going to reach their actions? Meaning I have the potential for greatness. And when am I going to express it? When am I going to push myself to do these things? Not in a negative way, and in a positive way, and realize I have so much to give. And I have to do this, and I have to work on myself, and I have to try to be the best me I can be for myself, for my kids, for Hashem. And that's what we're saying. See, nevertheless, we have to know. But for that to happen, we have to recognize we have to have a bris. What does it mean to have a bris? Let's see. Yes, I can even more than this. Even the people that have expressed their specialness, their unique qualities, tzaddikim, hashlitim, gamal ivarim, shveteva einim shars liyashlit aleim, even the tzaddikim like Avraham Avinu that were able to rule and to have control, self-control over our limbs, like Avraham Avinu, gam hey tzarich ladash alein lemilas asmam. Nevertheless, we still have to have a bris. Meaning you could be perfect, doing everything good. We do all the good things. But we have to recognize we still have to have a bris. And we're going to explain what it means. That's what he's saying. It's all, I'm good enough. I'm doing good enough. We have to keep on pushing ourselves and keep on reaching. And not again, I want to stress this, it's not in a negative way. It's all in a positive way, realizing that we have the potential for greatness. But to use a bad example, but you look at a sports player that is the best, the best sports players in the world. It's not just that they're very good, but they put in a lot of effort, and they realize they have the potential, and they push themselves to reach that potential. That's what we're saying. We have to realize first we have potential for greatness, and then we have to push ourselves to achieve it. Like the story of the Rabbi Shab, and this is talking about the level of self-control over our bodies, how much we can have. The palm is einain al shemiya l'kavya be'ezne achas. At certain points, he had a problem with hearing. When they try to figure out what was going on, why he's not being able to hear from one ear, Neida, he was nerd. Shabbos, Amar, Maimon Chassidus, and Shabbos when he's saying the Maimon Chassidus, his nale bechede hasamuch sicha shefriya loy b'miras Maimon. Ekiven shada shinyane hu lashpia dach tivelim chaim Chassidus. Silek es achush hashmiya mo'aznei shepansa la'aver hacheder boy haya shari hageirim la'afriya ha'inyanizem. So what happens? The story is like this. The Rabbi Shab is trying to say over a Maimon on Shabbos. Every Shabbos say a Maimon, he's saying a Maimon. And the room next door, it's quiet in the room because everyone's listening. And the room next door, they're schmoozing. They're having a Shabbos schmooze and they're talking. And it's disturbing. And it's disturbing him from giving over the Chassidus. And then Rabbi Shab said to himself, hey, my job is to give Chassidus. And this is getting in the way of giving Chassidus. So I have to stop being able to hear this. So he turned off his ability to hear from that ear. And that's what it seemed like a little bit subconscious. That's his natural body was this way. So then later when somebody's like, hey, well, it's hard to hear from the ear, what's going on? And they try to figure out, he's like, let me think, and he realized that's what it was because of this situation. So Zayis Hakavana B'dvarav B'maimer Shetzadikim Salku Es Riyasam Oish Miyasam Keshefriya L'Nashim L'Kis. And this is what it says, like in the Maimer, that by a tzaddik, if something disturbs them, so they stop using it. Like they're seeing or hearing, he doesn't see, it's seeing something, it's not good, turns it off, you can't see it. They have full control. Mishum shetzadikim, heinam, shlitim, gamal, achushmatim, they can take full control over their nature. And it doesn't control over them. They have control over their nature. And all these things that we were saying before, that naturally we don't have this. We can't do this naturally. You hear, you see. You can turn yourself away, but you can't turn off your ability to see. And back to the point we're trying to say is that also on them, Even a tzaddik like this, even a tzaddik like the Rabbi Shab, that he was able to turn off his thing, he has to realize we have to have a bris. And this is sort of the lesson we're learning, that we have to push ourselves. We have to realize that even if I can be 99 years old, I can be perfect. I daven every day, I learn every day, I'm a good parent, all the good things. I was in seminary, I was the best. But we should never mistake ourselves to say to ourselves, I'm good. I'm good in the sense, I don't have to push myself any further. We always have more to push. We always push it. Even there, my Shab, even Avraham, after 99 years of avodah, he still comes and he says, I need to do a bris. He worked on himself. He spent so many years, and not just that, he's a shliach now, he's spreading out Chassidus, he's teaching everyone about Hashem, he's doing all the good things, and he's living life in the utmost way. But he keeps on pushing, so I say, there's more that I need to do. And the reality is, the way you can see this is because you have to recognize one thing. There's us and Hashem. And naturally, we're two different worlds. Hashem's way up and we're way below. And what we want to do, we want to connect with that. Now, as much as I'm going to do, there's always more to connect. And it's the beautiful ability we have to push ourselves to go further and further and try to connect to Hashem. We should be successful in connecting to Hashem. And mitzvah Hashem will have that relationship and that connection. And the more we go, the more, this is a very empowering idea that we realize that like, I have an ability to connect to Hashem. And so if you see it that way, then you always want to do more and more. And of course, just to reiterate again that it's not that I'm not good enough. It's that I connect so much more. I'd love to connect more. To be continued. It's Hashem tomorrow.